People, Deluded, I'm back again. Fridays equals Q&A days. First and foremost, thank you very much for your questions, whoever you are, wherever you are. If I've missed you out, I apologize, and especially with what's going on globally, I don't need to go into details. It really means a lot that when everybody, I'm pretty sure I speak for everybody, nobody's life is perfect right now. There's some sort of uncertainty, whether that's sadly family members, sadly financially, or any other sort of problem. It really means a lot that a number of you have still managed to find time to ask me questions and keep this Q&A stuff going. So without further ado, enough rambling, let's go to the questions that have been asked of me via Twitter. Gooner has said, it's clear that attacking with 5 lanes is the modern approach. Do you think Arteta sticks with a left back, left winger, striker, creative midfielder, right wing, or do you think he'll progress to overlapping fullbacks on both sides, dropping the cam? Well, whether it's a cam, whether it's a just more modern day free midfield, I don't really think the two are interlapped, because if the 5 positions, like you said, are all bombing forward, they need the fullbacks, especially if you look at it, say we go with a 4-3-3, Pepe, and if it's a Aubameyang on the left, they're not always going to hug the touchline, and really what you want them to do is come slightly inside at times, so that Bellerin, which he needs to improve at, and more to a better degree Saka and Tierney, can create overlaps and overloads on either side. Fullbacks or overlapping fullbacks, like you've asked, is essential in modern day football. Almost it's as essential as what we've seen in recent years, in that every defender's got to be able to be a ball player. So I don't really think the two are interlinked, and I think regardless you'll see overlapping fullbacks, my guy. Emmanuel said, if we do end up selling Aubameyang, which attacker realistically can you see filling the gap, especially if also Lacazette leaves to bring in Partey? Not too sure on the Lacazette and Aubameyang both leaving in sorts. I think if anything, Lacazette goes and you keep Aubameyang on a free transfer, or you concede that you sell Aubameyang for 50 odd, you deal with Lacazette and realise he's not going to get 20 league goals, and potentially sign an inside forward or another striker. We're not going to be able to afford strikers that, are going to get 20 league goals minimum, which Aubameyang has. So you're potentially looking at people that, have the scope to develop into that. You're looking at Celtics, Odegaard, you're looking at Dembele. Personal one of mine is Baidu. Potentially got to ask Real Madrid if they'll help us out with Jovic on loan. I guess ambitious efforts could be trying to get Icardi, could also be Cavani, but again, these are ambitious / unrealistic efforts. Hopefully scouts have done their job, because I'm convinced there's the next Lewandowski and these players out there, but you need to go out there and find them. Saka said, yeah, Arsenal win the league. How long's a piece of string? The Arsenal will win the league as soon as they want to be league champions. I don't know, my guy. I ain't got a crystal ball, my G. Blanco has said, how are you occupying your time / taking care of your mental during this lockdown, trying anything new? Well, yeah, like I said in, I think, last week's one, trying to learn new skills, new languages, reading a lot of books. For me, more keeping my head, I've always been kind of strong mentally, and I say with my DG stuff, it's helped me be resilient. What I found pieces is that I can't change my situation. Like, you look at a lot of people, including myself, we're looking at where we're going to work next and stuff. And many people right now probably just stuck carrying the internet looking for roles, which I can't fault them for. I'm doing the same from time to time. But what you need to do is recognize, obviously it's technically April, which is a bad year for employment anyways, because the end of the tax year typically. Also, many companies are not really going to be recruiting, or might be scaling things back, because they don't know the true impact of this. So globally, if people are doing that, how much can I change? All I can learn to do is understand that good time and bad times come and go, which has happened already in my life. So I'd say just that. Yeah, man, it's not really a case of keeping my mental going for me, because with Deluded and stuff, it's the one silver lining is I've got more time to do things. I'd say trying to find a silver lining in things. Doing the small things around the house, you might have a drawer that you needed to screw, and you might, just doing things, all the things you say, oh, I'm going to get round to, I'm going to do it, actually doing it sort of thing. So I'd say that really, my guy. Playing a lot of FIFA Pro Clubs as well. Anyone that plays FIFA Pro Clubs, if you're actually good, comment your username or add my thing. I think it's either DGooner04 or DeludedGooner04. It's one of them things, just add up my thing, but FIFA, and that's been decent. think that's it in relation to the questions asked of myself via Twitter, people. So let's head to the YouTube communities tab, where a lot of you, there's 39 comments. I doubt I'm going to read every question because there's always someone with nonsense. But a lot of you listen and ask your questions via this, and a lot of you fail to understand this. If you want me to answer your question, comment it under the Q&A, the latest Q&A, or head to the communities tab when I ask. Ethan Manners, another consistent supporter, and again, someone who listens, has asked, what's your thoughts on the news that we've apparently triggered Thomas Partey's release clause? Also, hope that you're well. Ethan, I hope you're doing well, and I'd like to extend that to your family. In relation to the news, I know Sky Sports and them sort of man, they're the last to kind of see the news or pick up on it. But I ain't seen him holding shirts. I ain't seen no yellow bar. It just seems more of the same. So I'm not really getting gassed. Of course, if we have really done that, then I'm fully on it. It gives us a real midfield option. I do think fans paint Partey to a level he's not, but he would upgrade our team, and of course I'd be happy with him. But until he's holding the shirt, until I see some breaking news, I can't really get gassed off it, people. Papaya said, big up yourself, DG. I hope you're well and safe. You'll push through whatever is troubling you, sorry. Could you do a full breakdown of who stays, is sold, loaned, and what is needed in the future, midfield and defence? Maybe an idea for future videos. Happy belated birthday. First and foremost, thank you for your kind words. Thank you for wishing me happy birthday, which was on Monday. Thank you very much for that. I've done a video like this. I can't remember what it's called, but I have done this because somebody asked it before. Maybe when things change a bit, I'll revisit that again or see what I can do. But I think I have done that already, my guy. So sorry to disappoint you. Moving forward, not even going to say your name because your name looks like nonsense, but somebody's asked, can the fans who sit at the top of the Emirates Stadium see the match clearly? Yes, they can. Obviously, wherever you sit in any stadium or any venue, it's going to impact. Like I remember Crystal Palace, depending on where you get a seat, you can actually at a point, I haven't been Palace in a few years, but there's a pole that can actually stop you from seeing all of the game, really. So in the Emirates, I don't think we suffer from that. Ryan has said, what is the most misunderstood role / position in football for you, DG? Difficult one. It's not. I don't know if I'd say false nine. I'd say striker sometimes. False nine, because I do think. Listen, a top striker can only be a top striker if you're scoring 20 league goals. Let's cut the crap in it. Striker's job is to score goals. With that, obviously, there are strikers that are target men, that are better team players, that bring other players into the game. You can only be so good if you're doing that. I think people fail to understand that to a degree, because I think Drogba wasn't the most prolific, but he done certain things that was underappreciated. Giroud, listen, is very frustrating, but that goes over him. I think Firmino does need to score more goals, but the false nine thing, specifically false nine, but strikers in general, I think more so I'd say midfield, you know. I'd say midfield, because I think I don't think people comprehend what you need to do as a midfielder. I don't think someone has to exclusively be a defensive mid to be able to what's the word I'm looking for? To be able to do the thing defensively and help us in that aspect in midfield. You can be a box-to-box and do that. Do you get it? Similar, you know, you don't have to be an attacking midfield, always breaking the lines and stuff to be able to contribute in that regard. So I'd say people don't really understand specific midfield roles or what a midfielder has to do and things like that, people. So I'd potentially say that. It's completely different, but it's just a pet peeve of mine. I think, don't get me wrong, modern day advancements, you've got to be a good ball playing defender, but I do think there's too many blurred lines to what actually is the art of defending or defenders, really and truly, people. So yeah. Thanks for your question, Ryan. Big up yourself. Mark here said, hey, Deluded, I hope you're doing well during these times. Hope the same for you. My question is, do you feel Theo Walcott gets disrespected by Arsenal fans by what he has contributed to the club while he was here? Is Walcott a victim of playing in an unsuccessful period? If he played in the Invincible era, he'd be looked at as a great. Though he had inconsistent periods, he scored many important goals and gave us great memories. Many players who were around during this come-up would kill for his numbers while he was at Arsenal. What's your thoughts? I agree and disagree. Obviously, with your Invincibles point, a Bearman could join the Invincibles and say that 100% agree. I do think he is disrespected, because I don't think he was a very frustrating player, let's be honest. I don't think he's as bad as people make out. I do think his numbers paint him as a better player than he was, but at the same time, you don't get them numbers by mistake. I fully agree with you. He scored some vital goals for us. He scored in some big games. He's even had a couple of really good goal-scoring seasons. The problem probably is, and the first thing I believe is it goes against Theo, but it's a message to all kids that get bought for money and involved in the first team. He was a 16-year-old, spoken of playing, England and Arsenal. Before he even kicked a ball for Arsenal, he was going to the World Cup with Sven Eriksson. Perception. And you see it with a lot of players that people look so much at what the player can be in their own minds or their projected thoughts, and the player tomorrow, they fail to understand that he's learning, and that might not have been the story passed out for him. Theo Walcott this is as good as Walcott might have always meant to have been in his life to get it, but they were painting him as, he's going to do this and the other. He is frustrating, and in his career, the same problems are now rearing its head at Everton at a different age in his life. He's 30-odd, contracted until 2021, not playing with the consistency to really get a new deal at Everton, or the decision-making, really. One thing that's harmed Theo, in my opinion, is he didn't really know what he wanted to do. 1 minute he's convinced he's a striker, then he's convinced, which I've always believed he's been, is a winger. I do think Theo would have been best, like Giroud, as Plan B players, in that you have better players starting, and Theo can start some games, he's a rotating option, but I think having someone like Theo off the bench, if I was manager, that would have been me, because he's got pace. I do think he's definitely a better player than people might give him credit for. He definitely, on the face of it, repaid his price tag for Arsenal, but I think what harmed him is the perception and going to the World Cup and all of these things. That being said, he was incredibly frustrating. There was numerous moments throughout his whole time where he struggled for consistency. If we was to look at the micro and stuff, he'd have very good seasons, but he's had very average and very long seasons. Like there's 2 seasons that he's really been good, and obviously he's got a good catalogue of goals. But I remember that season where he got injured and he done that was really what he was at. And yeah, man, I just think he was a victim of perception, and I just don't think he settled on a position. And I do agree with some of what you're saying, man. Good question. Faris has said, I saw your video about Ozil's agent talking about wage reduction and a player could leave for free. Do you think Arsenal should do wage reduction to try and make him leave, especially because of his wages? Well, they're trying to cut everybody's wages. Ozil didn't tell Arsenal, well, he did, but Arsenal did not tell Ozil to sanction that. They wouldn't have sanctioned that if there weren't some benefits to keeping Ozil, whether that was to keep fans off the back if Alexis and Ozil departed, whether that's because of his markability, whether that's they believe he can help them move forward. Ozil done very well in that. He's got a legal contractual agreement, and the club are obliged to fulfill that. So you can't really make him do anything. If you were to renegotiate terms and he was to say, all right, cool, let's cut it in half, or let's do something else, naturally Ozil's advisor should say, all right, cool, if you want to cut my deals, you got to help me a bit. You got to give me a better signing on fee. My contract's ending at the end of next season. You got to give me a 2-year deal. You got to give me something that ties me through. And that might not be something Arsenal's gone down. So we've got ourselves in that mess. We're going to have to ride it, my dude. Samuel Gray said, what do you think about Zach Medley, and do you think he should have gotten an opportunity this year when injury crisis hit? I think he's wasted a season at 23s. Not in that he hasn't developed, but I think someone like him, when you look at Ballard going out on loan, I think the next step is Medley needs to be exposed to first team football. He's a very good ball player, but at times I think he struggles with his positioning, smelling danger, just silly mistakes really, like getting caught in possession. His positioning is like a duck out of water at times defensively. Ball playing, all that stuff, he can hold his own. But with that, he needs to have baptisms of fire. He needs to play week in, week out and get destroyed by grown men, and then he would think to himself, what I need to fix up. And if I'm in his advisors, of course, I'm not Arsenal, I don't know what's happening, but I see many centre-halves, not only around his age. You've got Ballard, you've got him, you've got many different defenders trying to get their way, but you look at the first team picture, you've got question marks over Holding, he's going to play ahead of you. You've got Chambers, you've got Mavropanos, you've got Saliba coming, you've got obviously Socrates, Mustafi, David Luiz, talk of signing a new centre-half, Marie. Are you going to get first-team football? There's too many bodies. Would it be best that you move on? And to be fair, he could get opportunities at full-back if that was what he wanted to do, but left-back, where he's filled at first team, is even filled people. So it's congested. Probably he needs to leave, but again, you never know, and he might get opportunities next year. But for me, it would tell me everything I need to know in that this crisis, I still haven't been called upon. You look at, not to belittle or praise Spurs or Arsenal, but Tanganga in the injury crisis got his chance. Medley, that would tell me the club don't believe I'm ready. Maybe I'm not legitimately ready, because for what it's worth, I don't believe he's ready. I think Ballard's had injuries, so it's difficult, but I would be more confident in Ballard's defensive capabilities. I think he's not as polished in terms of playing out from the ball, but he plays with commitment, he plays with heart. I think that if I had to draw for any centre-half based on how they played this season, I would use Harry Clark, because he had a good partnership at a time with Rob Holding for the 23s, and I think he's played well and he deserves his new deal that he got not too long ago. So I think if I was Medley, again, it's not as white and black as this, but it would tell me everything I need to know in that I haven't been given any opportunities despite this. And like I said, it was a season wasted. He did want to go out on loan. He was convinced by his own words by Steve Bold to stay, which obviously Bold needs players at that level. But I think it's a season where he could have made some real development in first team. In a first team environment. But what do I know? Peto has said, DG, would you take Doucouré? Big, strong, athletic, scores goals, Premier League proven and not that expensive. Not too sure for not that expensive. I'm not too sure on his contract length, but he probably 40-50 million, which is big money for Arsenal. Doucouré is a bit of a luxury player. People paint him as a player. He's not. He is a luxury player. He does defend, but he is a luxury player. Nonetheless, I would take him regardless. And he probably will leave Watford at the end of the season. Arthur said, if Joe Willock wasn't an Arsenal player and we were linked with him, what would you say about his playing profile? I would say he's decent technically. I'd say the thing that sticks out about him, is his engine to get up and down the pitch. And he's able to develop into a bit of a goal scorer. He's shown at first team level here and there he can score goals. I do think his decision making can improve, especially with the final ball and the positions he takes up, especially as he plays in that number 10 role to get onto the ball. But he's still learning. Robin has said, if we got William Saliba coming in July, and we also might be signing Pablo Mari on a permanent this summer, do you think we need to sign another centre-half as well? Yes, I think we need to sign another centre-half, and I think decisions need to be made over a lot of the centre-halves, because again, like I've previously said, there's a case for quality over quantity. Abdul has said, bro, you got to change your name from Deluded to Enlightened Gooner. You've been speaking the truth for a while on this YouTube. Thank you very much for your praise, Abdul. I just like to talk about, what I like to talk about, and it's nice to see that my words resonate. I'd like to say, I'm a big fan of you can't fool people. You might fool them sometimes, you can't fool them all the time, and you lot can see that I genuinely love football. Every time I see some comments saying, oh, Deluded, you're a genius, discounting things, it's not that I'm a genius, it's not that I know anything, it's like I'm genuinely just watching football and relaying my findings and opinions to you guys, and it is what it is. And I think, especially in football, you see, like life, people like to use a lot of jargon, a lot of words to hide their insecurities or lack of knowledge. And I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable about football. I just really have a hunger to one day work in this environment. I love football. And I'd like to think that resonates with you guys. So thanks for your praise. It means a lot. Enlightened Gooner don't really have the same ring, my guy, but nonetheless, thank you. Zach has said, I'd be interested to know what you think about Gareth Southgate as a manager. Well, I think one thing I'll give him is the togetherness he's got with our team. But when you break it down and look beyond the fact that he seems like a nice guy, I am not really that convinced. I think he's reluctant to be a bit brave. I think he can be a bit negative, especially with his midfield options. Omar said, do you have any regrets in your life? Hope you're doing well. Happy birthday to you as well. Thank you very much for your kind words, Omar. Naturally, we all have regrets in life. I've got many regrets of what I could have done, to advance myself better. What things I've done that I shouldn't have done, the opportunities or things I didn't take, not really because of other people, more so because of myself. Obviously, there's things in my private life I could have handled better. We've all could have done better in terms of private and personal relationships. So I have plenty of regrets. The problem is, like Arsene Wenger said, the past is filled with regrets. The future brings uncertainty. There's no time like the present. The future brings uncertainty to me all the time, because as much as I try with Deluded and everything I do, I can't really see where it's going to get me. I don't know if it's going to really pay off. The past, I've done a lot of things I'm not really proud of and stuff, but I've come out of it. All I can do is work in the present to do what I can, and I can't cry over spilt milk. Things have happened, innit? I'm not saying don't show repentance, don't be legitly sorry where you need to be, but it's happened, innit? I don't think people within reason deserve to pay for the sins of their past, really and truly, unless they're moving mad. So it is what it is in that regard. Just got to move forward, my guy. So yeah, obviously I do, but keep it moving. Kieran says, as we are looking to buy a new centre-half, we need to let go of at least one of our centre-backs. Who would you get rid of? Well, Mustafi and Socrates would be serious candidates. Holding, there might be a case to go out on loan. Mavropanos, the same. So that would be it. Zach has said, if we sign Bar of Olympiacos for Arsenal tomorrow, how would you feel? Well, he's decent considering how he played against Arsenal, so I wouldn't mind him. Nathan has said, who is your favourite player personally that has represented Arsenal during the Emirates era? That's a difficult one. We've had some decent players. Thierry Henry by default, because he's technically played at the Emirates. Listen, it didn't end well, but Alexis Sanchez was a bad boy. He was a pagan. Robin van Persie, pagan, and he left. Cesc Fabregas, up boy as well. Got to be up there. Nasri, got to be up there. Santi Cazorla, Aaron Ramsey, got to be up there. Sentiment purposes, Jack Wilshere. Aubameyang, without a doubt, has got to be there for me anyways. I think Aubameyang, in terms of, he's been one of the best signings of the Emirates era. Him and Alexis and Santi, for me, have the strongest cases to get in the Invincible side beyond some other names off the top of my head. So I would say that. I wouldn't quite put him up there with some of the names I've said, but I really enjoyed Lacazette. I like Lacazette, I know at times he's played mediocre and he has had many struggles, but I really like what Lacazette's brought, especially his passion. So he wouldn't be the highest up the list, but I'd throw him in there. I've got a soft spot for Theo Walcott. If I haven't said Aaron Ramsey, soft spot for Coquelin. Again, these men are not up there, but, just it's a saluting thing. I think I've said Van Persie already, even though he's a pagan. Pagan. Say that again. Arshavin, because for me, he felt like the first big money signing in a while. Podolski was gang, so him. These are not really favourites. These are shouting them out now. Koscielny, back when Koscielny was one of the best defenders in the world. I'm not saying the best, but there wasn't really a team he couldn't walk into in his prime. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you lot. I think that's it, really. Sagna, because I miss players like Sagna. He just did his job, does what it says on the tin, sort of man. And it allowed us to worry about other things. In that you knew Sagna was gonna. There's a base level of performances. 20 games, Sagna is not giving you anything less than a 6, 7 out of 10. 6 on a bad day, 5 on a bad day, 7 typically. Might not be the most blessed technically, but he was calm. So I'd say that really. I'd say them names there. It's G Meda said, if we only have a chance to sign one player in the summer, which position would you go for and why? Centre-back, because I believe you can't fix a house from top to bottom. I know you look at the sheer number of centre-halves, but I think I just want to be able to look at Arsenal next season and say, I've got confidence in this centre-half pairing and collectively this defensive unit with the fullbacks and the keeper. Obviously, if you press me again, it would be addressing the midfield area, but centre-half. Kieran has said, who do you expect to be a starter for us in the future from our youngsters? Personally, I see Nelson as one, as I feel Arteta has a lot of faith in him. Same with Eddie. Emil Smith-Rowe, Saka and Martinelli are obvious for first team chances soon enough for me. With players like Cottrell, Greenwood coming into the team. Listen, I can't predict the future in it. In the next 18 months, I think there's a good chance Aziz should make his debut. I think Sam Greenwood has a good chance. There's Sam Greenwood, there's Miguel Aziz. I think Charlie Patino to be a scholar next year will be there. I think Ben Cottrell and Matt Smith, two of the most underrated centre-half people at this team. So these are the people I think could get opportunities and many more. In relation to being a first-team starter, how long's a piece of string? I don't know. It's down to all of these players to work hard. I agree with what you're saying about Nelson. I think Nelson's a bit of a project for Arteta and someone he wants to kind of get out there. I think that's him. I'm going to back Emil Smith-Rowe and say him. I think it's in the balance, truthfully, but I'm going to back him. I'm going to back him and say him. CC has asked, do you think that football media platforms such as Sky Sports and their pundits, e.g. Graham Souness, have helped fuel the racist abuse/agenda we've seen towards this season? In particular, Pogba, Tammy Abraham, Fred, Sterling. I don't think Souness is racist. I don't think any of them are in particular racist. I do think in general, there's a lot of outdated views and a lot of way of looking at things, and I think football in general has really struggled to really move on into the present day. It's only now people are leaving. Remember, you see Lingard, Sterling, Dele, I don't know, Reece Nelson. You might see these lot chilling together and people saying, oh, they're not serious and blah, 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 because they don't want to thump up each other when they see each other. I don't think people have fully comprehended that. I think we need to move away from... I think football in this country is a bit silly in that it fails to understand that you can dedicate your life to football but have other passions. I do think, you know, a part of me, I'm not going to sit here and lie, I do think if there was more prominent black journalists and black media outlets, we might be portrayed better, because I do think there are cultural issues. They cannot understand us. They can't understand how some black players are expressive, especially the young London ones, and especially people like Aubameyang. Aubameyang, before he came here, you heard views of, you know, he's a bad person in the dressing room and all these things and the flashy cars, but he's very humble. Pogba the same. Like, you can't. Pogba got in trouble for dancing at his people them's wedding. It don't make no sense. I don't think they understand the personalities. I don't think it's gone from being blood and guts and all of this crap. Like, people don't understand it. And if we had people in these positions, we might be portrayed a bit better. Because, you know, it took a lot of people in prominent positions to realise Sterling was being racially abused. We've been saying it for time. They were saying, oh, you're playing the race card, and then suddenly it became cool to speak out about Raheem Sterling. Then it became praising the likes of Piers Morgan and Gary Neville for saying Raheem Sterling suffers racism. It's saying like everybody clapped for that. So if we maybe be portrayed a bit better, it's the same way if black and ethnic minorities owned football clubs, you would see more black owners. It's that simple. Do you know why I said that? Because I've sat at talks and owners have said, we don't have any black friends in our contact book. We don't have this in our contact book. We don't have this. I'm not playing golf with them. I've heard these things, people. So I say that's the case. You've said, is there any specific player from the 23/A teams who you think would be a good addition to the first team instead of spending money on an established player? Listen, I can sit here and talk till I'm blue in the face and look at my skin colour bill all day about the potential of these young players. But if you're asking me any player of the 18s and 23s to step up right now and play 10 games and show some consistency, you'll get some surprises. But I don't think anybody is currently ready, so I'm not going to cap and lie to you lot. E3 Bosses said, would you sell Aubameyang, and if you would, who do you replace him with realistically, and how should we set up next season attacking wise? I would fight tooth and nail to keep Aubameyang, but if I was to sell him, you have to go for the Baidus, the Dembeles, these names here. In relation to how we set up, it would be a 4-3-3 with a single striker. Or in fact, if Aubameyang leaves, there's a case of signing a wide man. So there's that. 1-1 has said, big up DG, thank you for that, my dude. You've said Perez or Overmars, tough one. Overmars is the better player, but I'm going to go with my guy Perez because I'm also Perez due to my age. Aubameyang or Ian Wright, clearly Ian Wright, but shout out to Aubameyang. Santi Cazorla or Fabregas. I want to go Santi, you know. I think Santi was underappreciated, but then again, I've seen Cesc do a madness, so I'm going to go with Santi. Recency bias plays a part. Noah Mosengo or Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham, my guy. I think he's going to be a terrific player. I think he's got captain level of a top 16 potentially for England. I think Jude Bellingham can really be a big boy footballer. He's one of my favourite players, if not my favourite player at the moment. Really and truly, I need to buy a Birmingham shirt. Jude Bellingham is a madness. Praying he don't go Man United. Xhaka or Torreira. Based on how Arteta is using him, it would be Xhaka, but for me, Torreira would play more. Saka or Martinelli right now, I give it Martinelli. It's tough. It goes either way. I give it Martinelli purely because as good as Saka's been, I'm not using this to take nothing away from him. I kind of had an idea in relation to who Saka is because I've seen him. Martinelli, only saw clips and stuff available to me. I wasn't watching him at Atano. So it was a breath of fresh air seeing this 18-year-old come into the environment. So it's a tough one, but I'll give it Martinelli. Gio said realistic starting 11 for next season. Well, it's more or less going to be the same strongest 11 we could name with the current options until signings come in, my guy. So I can't really name that. You've also said, do you think someone like Todd Cantwell can do it at Arsenal? Big love, my guy. Thank you very much for your praise. And I like Todd Cantwell. I think we should go for him, really. I mean, depending on the price. But yeah, definitely. JC has said, other than work, how do you keep yourself occupied? Any games? Happy birthday, Deluded. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, man, really just learn new skills. Just watch old matches. I've been watching a lot of old matches. If anyone's got a website for old matches, because my one's acting, hit me up. So I'd say mainly just that. Y has said, DG, what's your opinion on Ricardo Quaresma as a player? Failed potential, but he was a skillful guy, and you know, he was iconic with the Rabona and shooting from outside with the outside of his foot. Ninja Blazer said, what do you think went wrong with England's golden generation? I think they just bottled it. I think from a tactical point of view, it always felt like if you wanted to get everyone in, someone had to be put in a role that wasn't theirs, and that obviously harms their ability to naturally show what they're on. But I think they just bottled it, really and truly. Just just bottled it. I think a bit of that, and I think a bit of bottling. Chris Owens has said, should we move for Ndombele if he wants away from Spurs? I mean, if he's on the Sol Campbell thing, why not? But we don't have a snowball's chance. That one's been and gone. Samuel Gray said, would you prefer a pivot of Fabian Ruiz and Lucas Torreira or Zakaya and Xhaka? I do think Ruiz and Torreira would be a little light defensively, but I think they've got more about them than Xhaka and the Zakaria one, so I'll go with them. Although Xhaka and Zakaria, being Swiss teammates, would have a better understanding if you threw them both on a pitch at this moment in time. Bungania said, which is more needed, a cam or a defensive mid? They're both of equal importance. If not necessarily a cam or a traditional 10, someone that wants to break the lines. They're both of equal importance to me. If you was to push me, I would go for a more box-to-box, someone who does more of the dark arts, because I think if Torreira's not there, we're really struggling with that. And, you know, even though I think we need someone that can do the creative thing, if you looked at the sheer bodies, regardless of what you think of these players, and again, I'm not saying they're all perfect, but you've got Mesut Ozil, Mkhitaryan, Emil Smith-Rowe on loan, and Joe Willock. Again, none of them really convinced me in that role. Ozil's obviously past his best, while he can still play well. Mkhitaryan needs to be moved on. Joe is still learning that role. Pardon me, Joe is still learning that role, although I feel he should be playing in the pivot behind the 10. And Emil is still trying to get consistency and play with that sort of thing. So that's what I would say the CDM box-to-box thing is more needed. Ziad has said, who do you actually think Arsenal will realistically sign in the summer? Again, I don't know our transfer plans. I would like Szoboszlai if that means anything. Smile Please has said, how's your life going? It's not perfect, but it could be worse. Someone's always got it worse. Whether I sit here and cry about things, the world is still going to spin. So I'd say from I've got my health, from I've got my, you know, my close ones in good health, my family and friends, and, you know, I've still got that burning hunger to improve. Life can always get better from there. So I'd say that, my guy. Thank you for asking, Smile Please, man. People really ask that stuff. Phillips, has said, who is your Premier League manager of the season? Well, if and when it does get completed, Klopp is claiming Liverpool's first Premier League title in how long? It's got to be Jurgen Klopp. If I had to go for another man, you know, I'd say Chris Wilder, because Sheffield are doing a madness. People thought they'd be fighting relegation. They're looking at top 4. I would say it's a toss-up between, in no order, I'd say Klopp would be first, and then maybe Brendan Rodgers / Wilder, because you've got to respect what Leicester are doing in relation to the top 6. And I really think it would be Chris Wilder's men, really and truly. So that would be it. Wagyu has asked, oh, you said a madness, my guy. You said a long paragraph and I can't find your question. You said, do you think this is the best time for Stan to pump money into the club and allow us to rise quicker to the top and early challenge for top trophies? I think he needs to pump money into this club due to the coronavirus and it highlighting how bad our financial position, depending on how you look at it, is. It depends really, because we don't know the market. We don't know how the market's going to react, my guy. So pumping money it doesn't necessarily fix things. We need to see how things progress. Either way, you should be pumping money in regardless. You also said, do you think that Upamecano would still be a strong target knowing he's right-footed and we brought Saliba most recently? Don't you think Arsenal will be going into the market for a left-footed centre-back to provide backing to Marie? I'm not too sure about backing. If we're going for a centre-half, they should be better than Marie. No disrespect to him. I think a left-sided centre-half is just a bonus. It's just an icing on the cake. While we should try and identify that to complement people well, we just need competent centre-halves, defenders who can defend properly. If they're comfortable with a ball at their feet, they should be able to play on either side, like David Luiz can, like to a degree Rob Holding can, like Saliba can. Marie's left-footed. I think he'll do well on the right-hand side. People always look at it weird. When the right-footed's on the left, no one says anything. So I think Marie would be fine. I think if we can do that, that's an added bonus. But I think what we need right now is just better options than what we have, my guy, really and truly. So yeah, my guy, man, I think I've answered everybody's question. If I missed you out, apologies. Some questions have been quite similar, so I've purposely avoided them, and I apologise for that. We're back again next week, so please comment your opinions under this video. Please watch out during the week for the communities tab where I ask you lot. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the vid. For now, people, DG, I'm out.